If you or someone you know has an anxious attachment style, this video is for you. Hey, favorite abandonment girlies! Hi to those choosing to watch my video. As you can tell by the title, today we are going to be talking about having an anxious attachment style. This video is not by any means professional, and if you want to know if you actually have one, for sure, definitely go seek professional diagnosis and advice. This is just someone who personally has it, and I'm going to be talking about my personal experience with it and my own personal research and stuff I've seen online. We're going to be talking about what it's like having an anxious attachment style. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about it online, especially on TikTok. Just a lot of relationship dynamics that are one person's an anxious and the other is an avoidant, which are two completely opposite attachment styles, clearly, and how you go about things. I can do a whole video about that another time, but this one we're just going to tackle anxious attachment style because I am someone who is currently trying to heal and grow from it. But before we get into that, be sure to like and subscribe. We gotta support our small content girlies out here. If you or someone you know has an anxious attachment style, this video is for you. I'm just gonna quickly look up the actual word-for-word definition of what an anxious attachment style is before I give my own 2 cents and personal experience with it. Anxious attachment style, also known as preoccupied attachment, is a pattern of insecure attachment characterized by a strong desire for intimacy and closeness combined with a fear of abandonment and rejection. I do just want to add, if you have an anxious attachment style, that doesn't mean you're a bad person or a bad partner. It just means that there's room for improvement in healing, and also what you're wanting isn't bad. You just need a little bit more reassurance to feel secure and safe with your partner, and uncertainty makes you spiral and think of all worst case possible scenarios. So it leads you to blow up their phone, it leads you to constantly question and let your trust issues kind of come to surface. And like I said, you seek more closeness. You're so quick to want to fix stuff and rebuild stuff because that's part of the fear of abandonment. You don't want to lose them. So you do anything you possibly can as soon as possible, when sometimes it doesn't work like that. With the right person, you won't need to have to seek for what you're chasing and begging and trying to fix right away. But it's also not letting yourself or your partner enable it either. It very much is something that you need to learn how to control and self-soothe. But my point of what I was trying to say is that it doesn't make you a bad partner unless you're being toxic and like mean about it and just way out of line. But if it's just like overthinking and you're scared to lose them, so you're just not intentionally trying to smother them, but it feels like that for them and you just don't know what to do, I just wanted to make it known that you aren't bad or toxic for it. So don't let you or someone else make you feel like that just because they might handle things differently and don't understand why you go about things like that and handle things like that. But like it said, you know, there's just a lot of insecurities and feeling unworthy even, and that's why these things get triggered. For me personally, with my experience of it, I know it definitely stems from my fear of abandonment. Hey, favorite abandonment girlies! You most likely have an anxious attachment style if you, 1, overthink everything. The way they texted something, their tone of their text or their voice. If they're at work or with their friends, you might automatically think, if you haven't heard from them for a bit, you might automatically think that they're doing something disloyal or something to replace you or doing something wrong by you. It all stems from, I don't want to feel disposable, I don't want to feel replaceable, I want to feel safe, secure, and I want to know exactly where we stand. And nothing's wrong with that. Blowing up the phone anytime you get triggered by it, sometimes you'll say things out of emotions rather than maybe taking a step back and realizing, do I need to text them this? Do I need to ask them this? Do I need to say all these things? That's like a big step, because a lot of us tend to immediately like blow up their phone out of all of our emotions and thoughts in our heads. Coming from someone who has an anxious attachment style, do not immediately go to that text button and send everything that's going on up here, and instead step back, think, let it out somewhere else before you do it then. We seek closeness, and I'll talk a little bit about avoidance, but avoidance are the opposite. It says it right there. It's pretty self-explanatory of what avoidant may do. Avoid, push away, suppress, distract. They're the ones that are needing space versus us. We don't like space. We don't like space. We don't like distance. We don't like silence. It makes us feel like we're being abandoned and unworthy, and it makes us feel like, what am I doing wrong? What could I have said? What couldn't I have said? Space and distance isn't always bad. And that's a big thing for anxious attachment style people that we need to realize is they need space. Okay. They need a little bit of time to kind of think for themselves before they talk to me. Okay. But the only way to actually allow the time and distance, or even a break up with your partner, is having that clarity. You know, on both ends, they deserve that clarity and communication of being like, okay, like, I need time, I need space. Okay, like, yeah, but the only way that you'll feel secure and safe is if they give you some sort of timeline, so you know that they'll eventually come back. Okay, but they're not ending it for good. It doesn't feel final, but they haven't really given me a time frame to look for, whether it's a breakup or if it's just like, I need a little bit of time, whether it's a few days, few hours, or weeks, months. Again, it's just having that communication. I also just want to make that very clear. Have those uncomfortable conversations with your partners, including your attachment styles, your traumas, your boundaries, what you've been used to so far, all those uncomfortable things that you don't want to talk about, but with the right person you do, so you know each other completely with all their vulnerabilities and flaws, and just find a way to make them feel safe and secure, as well as making yourself safe and secure without there being miscommunication. Don't do anything rational. Have a conversation first, and also getting to know someone. You make those things known ahead of time rather than later on in the road. But sometimes you don't realize you have an attachment style until later on, so I get it. But either way, it's just so important that we communicate with our partners and have those uncomfortable conversations to grow and to progress with someone, because that's how you learn each other more and your dynamic more. That's how you grow together as a team. Because if you're just only having surface level conversations, it's like, I'm sorry, but you're doomed if you're gonna just only have those conversations. Just kind of make them known, if you already know ahead of time, like, hey, I have an attachment style, this is what I'm used to, this is how I feel in certain situations and how I handle things. It doesn't always have to be like that, but a way to help me feel safe and secure and not let it trigger me is if you give me this, this, and that, so then I don't do this and this and that. You know, a lot of people fail to have those conversations, but it is hard sometimes, depending on the situation, because sometimes it's the heat of the moment. You don't have time to say all those things. You don't think clearly and calmly in those situations, and that's why it's important to sometimes take a moment to kind of just calm down with whatever emotions you're feeling, and then actually express things in a calmly mature manner, so you get everything that you're actually trying to express out on the table. Love really is a drug. And when you're so used to talking to this person every day, seeing this person so often, and then it comes to a point where maybe you break up and it's not like that anymore, it ruins your routine, right? Because that's what your nervous system has now comforted in, is that person. And now all of a sudden you just can't speak to them, you can't see them, so it triggers you and it makes you spiral. I'm just quickly going to share when I realized I had an anxious attachment style, which was recently. And like, I knew I've had attachment issues in the past. I already have fear of abandonment issues I've been working on. So it just all kind of started making sense. But when I realized that is when I immediately think of all worst case scenarios due to what I've been used to, of people leaving all the time in my life when I've just only ever wanted someone to stick by me in my life. So I am someone who blows up your phone, but not in a toxic way, but in a way of like blowing up your phone in the sense of like, I want to talk now. If we're not with each other, like, I want to talk about this now, I want to fix things, I want to resolve things. I want to do whatever I can for us to be good. I don't want to sit in the silence. I don't want to keep thinking of, what are they thinking? What are they going to say? How are we going to go about things? I don't want to think about those things. I just want to talk about it and think about it now and get it over with. When sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you need to understand that not everyone goes about things the way you do. And especially if you're with someone who's the complete opposite of you, you have to find a way to have a common ground. Sorry, my dog's drinking water in the background. Just finding a common ground between your differences, so you're both giving each other what you need to feel safe and secure in a relationship. And the right people will get out of their comfort bubble and what they're used to being given and what they're used to giving, to actually progress with you and make sure it's not just about you, it's also about their partner. So it's like, although you're like, but I need these things, and it's like, okay, but also think about what they need too. Think about what you both need and see what you can do to meet in the middle about it. But when it comes down to that person needing space, unfortunately you have to give them space, but kind of make it known, okay, like, I respect you needing space, I understand, but can you possibly give me a time frame to look for to talk further about this, and go from there. I very much was that person, and I still am sometimes. I immediately think, oh, this motherfucker's cheating on me. This person's definitely gonna be flirting with girls when he's out with his friends. Now, I don't always think that, but it's like, if I don't hear from you in a long time, I'm like, this is suspicious, I'm being triggered. And that's why I like to be updated on things here and there, but wanting you to do it yourself. I shouldn't have to, of course. But again, it's having that conversation with your partner, and if they give you that, great. But sometimes they do be doing something where they won't be on their phone. So it's not like they're intentionally doing it, but then once they come back and they kind of tell you, hey, this is what I was doing, then you're like, oh, okay. It's like within those few minutes or even hours where they might not be able to get back to you, you immediately think of the worst until they text you and you're like, oh, okay. Now, I'm not saying there are situations where you aren't right, because sometimes you are. That intuition. This is more so of your anxious attachment style. Your attachment style is just your nervous system and your traumas being triggered. So it makes you think negatively about situations rather than thinking positively. There's so many different situations and dynamics with relationships, though. This isn't hardcore to say, oh, y'all are gonna get back together. That's not what this video is. This video is actually just understanding a little bit more about yourself and having an anxious attachment style, or someone you're dating who has an anxious attachment style, and how they feel about things, how they handle things, what they need. And there's room for improvement, and nothing's wrong with you because of that. We all are learning as we go. And it goes down to being with the right type of partner who will help you along the process, but you can't rely on them to also help you. You have to want to help yourself as well on progressing and healing from it. But it is a step of letting your partner know that. And it does help so much when your partner actually understands you and, you know, is supporting you through it. So you clearly have some work to do, and nothing's wrong with that. You just love deeply, intensely, and just need more reassurance to feel that clarity and connection with someone. Isn't that pretty much the bare minimum? I mean, yes, but again, it's like in situations of if someone needs time or distance away, it's about respecting that. Respecting yourself and what you need, but also respecting what they need. And then sometimes people don't want to resolve things immediately. They want to sit and feel and process whatever it is that they're going through, and then coming back. And that's where it's not really a bare minimum thing. It's a, okay, now I need to respect this person and what they need, while respecting myself and respecting me and what I need. And again, it goes back to talking to your partner and finding a common ground on how to go about that in a healthy way that actually progresses. It really is about learning how to deal with silence, distance, and time apart. That doesn't automatically mean things are doomed, things are bad, that they're not going to come back. It depends on the situation and how they worded things and how you guys really broke up. If it was like, hey, we're donesies, like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, or whatever, girl, still work on healing, but don't go back to that person and hoping that they're going to get back together with you. But if they're like, this is for the best right now, and it was more of like a mutual thing, and I just need to kind of process things, and I just need, pretty much just saying that you need space and time, then you're like, okay, it's not a final thing, it's more of a pause situation. But how do I deal with that without spiraling, without blowing up their phone anytime I think of them or I think of something bad going on during this time and space when I feel uncomfortable? Of course, try and find other outlets, whether it's talking to yourself, talking to someone else, writing it down, doing healthy distractions, learning how to self-soothe, and know that it's okay. Space is okay. Silence is okay. Sometimes anxious attachment people can be a bit emotionally dependent. Sometimes, not everyone, but emotionally dependent on their partner. This kind of teaches you to learn how to deal with it alone and love them from afar and respect their boundaries and needs, right? Because them saying I need time and space is them setting a boundary, and you have to respect that. Because if you're going to keep breaking no contact, blowing up their phone, and you wonder why they're not reaching out, it's because they made it clear, this is what I need, and you aren't respecting it because you are breaking no contact. Although I hate the concept of no contact, it shouldn't come down to that, but distance is okay. Because you think it would be so simple of, oh, why can't we just work together to do better? But they're not wanting to. It's not that they don't want to, it's not that they don't care anymore. They're very much emotionally available for you. The love is still there, they're just emotionally incapable. It's a capacity thing. That was also something that I needed to understand is, oh, it's a capacity thing. It's not that they don't want to be with me anymore, or it's not because they don't like me anymore, or value me anymore, or see my worth, or see how much love I have for them. They see that, and they know that, and they appreciate that. And that doesn't go away just because they need time and distance. But we think that immediately because our nervous system is triggered, and it's like, oh, well, the routine's different. I don't like it. Make that known that you're not unworthy, and that you aren't hard to love because of it. And don't think, oh, I'm just too loving, I'm too giving. Those are beautiful qualities to have, and that shouldn't change. The only thing that needs to be improved is learning how to sit with your nervous system and not let it take control over you when you're triggered. Back to what I was kind of saying about love being a drug, and say you're going through no contact or going through a break, or they just need a few days. I'm gonna try to do this. You go 2 or 3 days, but then you cave in that 4th day and text them something. Time and space, you're gonna have your relapse moments, right? It's part of the healing journey, right? Anyone who's healing, you don't just make up your mind one day and say, oh, I'm gonna do this. That's the part of healing, is you're gonna have your highs and lows. Things are going great, and then you might, but then you get back up there. 3 days, may feel like a lot for me, but for them it's not. So then you cave in. And I can't speak for everyone, because obviously it's hard when everyone has different situations, but for the most part, stuff that I've seen where people have no contact or just need a few days to kind of process things before they, talk with their partner again, that's what you need to learn to do. Also, just an inner thing, if you really feel like you want to succeed with this person and grow with this person, you will actually try to get that uncomfortable feeling that you're not used to, and learning to do better with it rather than enable it and just say that's the way that I am, when it's not. Your nervous system isn't who you are, and you shouldn't enable that and make it define you. You very much can grow from it. I'm not saying change who you are, change how you love this person, change how you express things and go about things to make your partner feel loved. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about growing and healing and improving on your flaws and your weaker parts of yourself. Outgrowing something that's been taking control over you in situations that shouldn't. Don't ever be with someone who makes you feel like, oh, well, you need to change. Well, I don't want you doing that anymore. Or whatever. Be with someone who's like, okay, I love you for who you are, but I fully support you if this is something that you want to improve on. I'm right behind you. I'm right here for you. I see you. I hear you. I value you. And I love you. It's not about changing how you love. It's changing how you feel when you get triggered with time and space and distance and feeling that uncertainty. To be fair, no one likes feeling uncertainty, especially when it comes to your relationship. I think that's like a fair thing to say. It's okay to, one, be alone. It's okay to deal with things alone for a little bit. It's okay to take some time apart to rekindle, reconcile, and create a stronger, better foundation. And it's okay to break the cycle of your traumas, whether it's from your past relationships or even your childhood. A lot of people get their attachment styles from how their relationships were with their parents growing up. I'm gonna dive into a little bit about avoidance, where a good amount of avoidants feel this way because they had a little bit of emotional neglect with their parents, right? Their parents kind of were like, suck it up, suppress your feelings, I don't want to talk about it, like, we're not gonna get emotional, move forward, move on. It's also knowing your partner. Instead of building resentment towards them and breaking up with them because of it, instead be like, hey, like, I want to still be with you, I want to progress with you, but things need to change. We need to do better, we need to be a better system, and we need to have a stronger foundation so these things don't get in the way of our connection and our dynamic. I hope I'm not like sounding like a broken record, but I did just want to make that clear on, you don't need to change. That's not what this is. It's just evolving and growing, outgrowing your traumas and triggers. And it's not gonna happen overnight, but it does help when you have a supportive partner and they actually know. And also you wanting to work on that too. Because the only way that you get better is when you actually want to do better. What triggers you can be improved. If you aren't together, then it's about learning to do it on your own. And not necessarily doing it for them, but a part of you can be like, okay, but I do want to do better because I do want to get back together. So even though we're not together, I'm doing it for both of us, not just for the relationship. Want to do it for yourself and not just for the other person. And I'm not a professional. Okay, I know there's more in-depth things that you could get into about it, but this is just based off of my research, my personal experience, and what I've seen people say online, which a lot of it is people not being able to handle no contact, blowing up their phone. That's like the most common things a lot of anxious attachment style people have, and they automatically think, oh, they're gonna find better, they're gonna go sleep with someone else, they're gonna go forget me. Fear of abandonment. You don't want to feel forgotten, you don't want to feel disposable and replaceable. To be fair, no one wants to, obviously, but with us especially, that's what we automatically think in those situations. I mean, it can even go down to friendships, not even relationships. Making known your boundaries, your traumas, what you're used to, what you're not used to. And that includes your attachment style, which can go with your traumas, I guess. But just make that little note. Because if you don't put yourself in those uncomfortable conversations and situations, you aren't going to grow. You're going to stay in that bubble of comfortability, and it's going to jeopardize things. You're going to self-sabotage by doing that. Say they hang out with their friends or they're going on a trip, like I was kind of mentioning, and it's been a little bit longer than you like to hear from them again, and so you kind of like check in and be like, hey, what are you doing? Or who are you with? What are you doing? Or why aren't you texting me? Which I know can kind of sound toxic, but depending on how they word it. But, you know, again, but those are examples of people who think that way. You automatically think of worst case scenarios. You just think that they're doing you wrong while you're taking this time apart. I still have my moments where I think of the worst situations ever, rather than being like, okay, I know this person, I trust them, you know, they've updated me, I know they love me, I love them, you know, and they make me feel it, I see it. But sometimes this distance triggers me and that all suddenly goes away. So it's learning how to not let that completely take over all those things. If you do just want to make it known to your person of being like, okay, like, I understand and respect you needing some time, some space, make it known. I can give you that, but you need to also consider my feelings and how that might affect me, and being able to do it in a way where we both feel safe and secure during this time. There are multiple different kinds of anxious attachment styles, as well as avoidance. Sometimes you might have more traits than others for different types of anxious attachment styles, so not every single trait of an anxious attachment style is what you have. Although I kind of already said some of them, but here are a list of characteristics if you have possibly an anxious attachment style. Now that's intense fear of abandonment, need for constant reassurance and validation, difficulty trusting others, hypersensitivity to partner's cues, people-pleasing behaviors, overthinking and rumination about relationships, and low self-worth. And some of these causes can be from inconsistent or unpredictable caregiving in your early childhood, experience of rejection or abandonment from relationships, friendships, or even, again, childhood, and the low self-esteem. You don't need to have every single characteristic that's listed. Those are just some traits to look out for, and if you're like, okay, I have that, or you can literally take tests online to see what specific type of attachment style you have. And then again, of course, the big thing is going to a professional, of course. I always advise that, but if you just want to do something at home, take a test, or even watch videos like this to see if you have some sort of relations and can resonate with others. Maybe you don't care about rejection in general, but with your partner, you sure do. Right? Especially someone you love that you're fearful of losing. I'm not perfect by any means, and neither is your partner, so don't automatically think I expect them to be perfect. You can't think like that. It's quite literally impossible to be perfect, and I think it's beautiful that we all embrace our imperfections with our partners. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything together to be loved either. If you want to succeed and grow with someone, you have to be willing to compromise and find a common ground and do better and want to do better together and as an individual. They have proven their trust. I do trust them and I love them, and they do update me. So instead of showing that I'm possibly caving in and doing that and showing them, hey, my trust issues are actually kind of being triggered, because that might make them think, oh, they don't fully trust me if they're asking these things. Kind of sit back with them for a second. If you feel like it's still something that you need to express, then express it. Write it down somewhere else in your notes first and wait till you're calm and see, is this what I want to say, or could I word this better even? This isn't me saying don't express things to your partner, but don't forget the trust that you have with your partner and let your attachment style, which trust issues, fear of abandonment, kind of cloud you from the connection you have with this person, from you knowing this person and them knowing you. Also starts making them question things like, what's going wrong? The right partner will be patient and calm and understanding with you during it all and should be reassuring you. Hey, I overthink, and they're like, I'll over explain then. You know, whatever will make you feel comfortable and secure and safe with our connection. No matter what type of attachment style, that's how you should feel towards your partner when they share those things. The right partner will stick by you through everything, even with stuff that needs to be improved. Depends on what it is though, if I'm being honest. Sometimes you need to actually be apart to work on those things or else you hurt them. With things like that, your attachment style and traumas and everything, those don't need to be fully like healed or resolved necessarily to be in a relationship and to love someone. Challenging yourself to break out of that and learning to sit with that uncomfortable feeling of, oh, I want to text them, like I'm scared that they're forgetting me during this time, when a lot of the times they're not. They're actually thinking and feeling exactly what you are, but they go about things differently and they actually need that time to process. But again, with avoidance, it's a whole other thing. But anyone else who is on the TikTok side of anxious attachment style, a lot of people are making videos, so I think that shows itself that it's a very common thing. Okay, it's common, it's treatable, you can get better. Having healthy coping mechanisms to help in the process. For anyone who is dating someone though, it's important that you give them what they need in the meantime, even if they're trying to heal from it. Still over-explain what they're overthinking. Compliment them. Reassure them by telling them why you love them, how much you appreciate them, and how much you value them and want them in your life. This is just my personal experience and a lot of common traits and the main things that people tend to do with an anxious attachment style and what triggers them. So I'm hoping in some way this video helped you feel seen and heard and validated, or maybe even realizing, okay, maybe I do have it and I do want to do better with my partner. Now, maybe if you think you have one, go talk to your partner and tell them that and express that and see where you can go from there. Being completely vulnerable with each other is a major thing too. This is just for anyone who already knows they have one or is questioning if they have one, and anyone who's with someone that they know or thinks has one. Again, this isn't hope core for, oh, if I do better that I can get back together with my toxic ex who was really shitty towards me. No. If you know that ex was toxic and you're thinking of that one toxic person, this is not what this is for. This is for you. This is for self-growth, self-improvement, and your self-esteem. Not for your shitty ex. I would like to also make a video on an anxious and avoidant dating and how that dynamic is. We have an anxious attachment style, and I just figured I'd let all those others out there know that they're not alone. You're not doomed, you're not bad, you're not destined to be alone. We all have a little bit of healing to do, and that's okay. Definitely comment down below your stories and experiences with an anxious attachment style or even dating someone. Also, if you have an anxious attachment style, let me know down below what tends to trigger you the most. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around with me and learning a little bit more on what it's like to have an anxious attachment style and how to do better and to heal. If you enjoy this video and want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to be easier on yourselves and stay positive. Other than that, you guys will see me very, very soon. Bye!